Welcome to Roscoe Squeeze Off, the podcast. It's your boy Roscoe Squeeze Off, world's foremost authority on all things that matter. And once again, I am Roscoe Squeeze Off of the Show on the Go podcast. All right, so today I wanna come at you first of all about the Ravens and the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, people are kind of in an uproar from what I hear on, at least the local Ravens fans and stuff. They're like, oh my goodness, 30-28. 14 unanswered points in the fourth quarter for Philly. We did have a few chinks in the armor. It looked like we had a little trouble rushing the ball. Actually, we got out-rushed for the first time in a while. I didn't do the statistics or didn't do the research to find out when's the last time that happened, but it doesn't happen often, man. They had 194 yards rushing. We had 182. You just don't see that often with the Ravens. And what I was going to say is that the team made an effort to run the ball. So I don't want to say that the Ravens didn't make an effort to run the ball. I mean, they had 37 rushing attempts, which is, what I've been clamoring for, is to run the ball at least 40 times a game. And it will result in a win. And it did result in a win. But teams are going to start doing what this team did to us yesterday, and it's been going on, I guess, the whole season, but they're going to make a concerted effort to stop our running game. I mean, they're putting everybody in the box. They're getting 9 guys in the box, and they're daring us to beat them passing, and right now, our passing game doesn't look consistent enough to make that happen. Now, we did have 173 yards passing yesterday. You can say that that's not a whole lot, but with 182 yards rushing and then 36 minutes time possession, we should definitely win. And I believe we were on pace to win before they had those 14 unanswered points. The key to that was the penalties. I just don't want us to lose sight that we had a much better formula yesterday. We only passed the ball 16 to 27 times. So, we completed 16 to 27 passes. We passed the ball 27 times. I'd like to see that number, under 30. So I thought that was spot on. By that being spot on, we ran the ball 37 times. That was spot on. 40 would have been even better. But what we did yesterday, even though we struggled to run the ball a little bit, as far as running with our running backs. Matter of fact, let me pull that up real quick. I want to bring that. I want to show you what I mean. The running with our running backs breakdown. 9 carries for J.K. Dobbins, 28 yards. That's a 3.1 yard average. His long was 16. Gus Edwards, 14 attempts, 26 yards. 7 was his long. He did have that 1 touchdown. And then Mark Ingram, who went out a little gimpy yesterday with an ankle injury, had 5 carries for 20 yards, 4 yard average, and 9 was his long. The key to our running game that got us to the 182 yards, Lamar Jackson. Remember, Lamar Jackson was just coming off his worst rushing game in the NFL, only 3 yards. And he had 9 carries, 108 yards, 12-yard average, long 37, and the 37 was a touchdown run. Now, what made us unique and dominant in the rushing game last season was the ability for Lamar Jackson to run the ball. If you remember, he had 1,200 yards rushing. That is why we were dominant in the running game. It wasn't just because we ran the ball with the running backs. Now, I believe we need to do that. We need to have the attempts. The key to the running backs is the attempts. We need 40 attempts a game. 40 plus is what I want. We had 37, so doable. We need 40 attempts a game. That will give us the time possession, which we had 36 minutes, which our goal should be to get 40 minutes time possession. Everything went right yesterday, except, and the defense played lights out. I know they gave up points late. Everything went right with the defense, in my opinion, as well. We got pressure on the quarterback. We got a lot of hits on him. And in fact, we had 6 sacks yesterday. Let me see, quarterback hits. We had 16 quarterback hits yesterday. That's what we want. We had a bunch of tackles for Calais Campbell. Monster game. Marlon Humphrey still knocking the ball loose, forcing fumbles. Amazing. Now, what happened to us yesterday that was a problem as far as defense and offense goes was the penalties. We had, let me see the penalties here, because the penalties was the big factor. 12 penalties for 132 yards that resulted in, I believe, 3 first downs, and 3 major first downs for them. So they only had 3 for 20. That was what kept them in the game, was the ability to extend plays. Even when we stopped them, it was a penalty. They got a touchdown late where we hit them. We stopped them on 3rd down, roughing the passer. Then they get a touchdown afterwards. Things of that nature is what stopped us. Now, that is something going into the bye week that we can work out. I believe we showed we were the much better team than Philly. I believe we kept them in without undisciplined play in that game with the penalties. I believe we stuck to our run. I love that. I understand they stacked the box and we didn't get as much. And I don't think we showed a lot. I believe our best run plays last year were the option plays. When we do the option type runs where you don't know if Lamar's going to run it or the running back's going to run it, I think we do a lot better with those plays. But I think we've cut down on options, on option type plays. And the goal is not to run Lamar as much. I mean, they may not say that, but it seems quite obvious with the amount of pass attempts and the reduction in rush attempts. I mean, he had 9 carries for 108 yards yesterday. And maybe that's the key. Maybe we drop him back. I still want to go do option plays to run the ball. Even if we're just faking the option for Lamar to run it and giving it to the running backs, I love the idea, because I think that may freeze a linebacker for a second or what have you, just for a second. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it's free. The creation tool allows you to record and edit a podcast right from your phone, tablet, computer, what have you. Anchor will distribute the podcast for you so you can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You make money right from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. All you have to do is download the Anchor app. Go to anchor.fm to get started. Once again, that's anchor.fm to get started making your own podcast today. But his ability to drop back and then make something happen in the run game is a plus. I mean, he had big plays. I mean, his 37-yard run was a design run. And he got a touchdown out of it. Right up the middle, quarterback, pretty much quarterback sneaker, kind of like. And they had no answer for it. He just blew past the secondary and everything. Fastest guy, he looked like the fastest guy on the field by far. So we have to keep running him, because I think if nothing else we got from this Philadelphia game is we realized that our running game, yes, can be stifled at times as far as with the running backs. But you're not really going to stifle Lamar Jackson. And that's our advantage in the running game. I love the 37 carries. Like I said, let's take that to 40. So I look at our team as doing pretty good yesterday. Now, the turnovers, we got the bye week. Let's tighten that up. Let's stop the offsides. Let's stop the repeated holding calls. Let's make sure we can try to eliminate the roughing the passer, because we just kept drive after drive alive. We had a pass interference on late in the fourth quarter there. That was on number 24, and that was not a pass interference. So you're gonna get a few bad calls there when it comes to that kind of stuff. But most of our penalties, 99% of them, besides that one, were self-inflicted. We were hitting the quarterback late, I thought. And I know we wanted to hit him and get pressure on him. So maybe that was a design plan. Hey, let's just get pressure on him. But we can't take those penalties, because we kept drives alive. We moved them to first downs when they didn't have them. I thought our defense otherwise did pretty darn good job. We did give it more rushing yards. I mean, it was a lot of big plays. It was a big play late in the game. Jalen Hurts, they used him really well as a mobile running quarterback. But like I said, I'm not as mad about it as long as we stick to our formula. I think the key to the Ravens, and I think it showed in this game, is our formula. Play decent, sound defense, run the ball, win the time possession. Good things will happen one way or another. The only factor to this game that was bad was the penalties. If you eliminate those 12 penalties, I think this was a complete blowout. We kept their drives alive, we made things happen. And then also, give this team credit. Carson Wentz went out there and he battled. He made running plays. He made passing plays. I mean, we got lucky a few plays there. You know, that throw up between Marlon and number 24. That was just complete luck, I thought. I mean, the guy was between two Pro Bowl corners and was able to you know, if you can get that between Peters and Humphries and get a touchdown, hey, more power to you. I don't think that would happen again. 9 out of 10 times it wouldn't happen. It got that one time, and it happened. And also, Peters was, according to some of the local media in Baltimore, they claim Peters looked a little out of sorts all on the sideline. Like he had almost like a meltdown. Like he was yelling and he was fussing and going up and down, ranting and raving on the side. I don't know how true this is. I didn't see it. I heard that when the media from the press box said that was what was going on, and that's what made Philly decide to go after a Pro Bowl corner repeatedly throughout the game, because they knew he was a little out of sorts. But overall, we got the win. We're going into the bye week. We can tighten some of these things up. Not tighten this penalty thing up, because that's a major thing. We got to tighten that up. Got to tighten the penalties up. So get these penalties tightened up, and then besides that, I think we looking good, man. I think this is the best game formula wise that we may have had all season. Since the Cleveland game, 37 attempts rushing the ball. Even if we didn't have the output we wanted from the running backs, Lamar made up for that, because that's what he is. He's the great rushing equalizer. He is not Patrick Mahomes. He is not Deshaun Watson. He is not Russell Wilson. He is not just going to run around there and throw dimes 40 yards down the field, hitting a guy perfectly in stride. He doesn't always do that. Now, he will make plays, don't get me wrong. He doesn't have the accuracy of those guys. Now, where his key, where he outshines those guys and was MVP last year, is he had 1,200 yards last year. He can run the ball like maybe nobody else in this league, especially at quarterback position. But with his speed and his elusiveness in the open field, it's hard to think that he may not even be the best kick returner in the league if they gave it to him. But we got to use that. I mean, we don't want him to get hit, so we want him to go down. We want him to get out of bounds. But we have to use that his running ability, and it showed again yesterday. When he does what he does, that's where he's his most dominant. We just can't make him a pocket passer, drop back and throw the ball. We got to use the play action pass, because when you run the ball, then you can use play action pass. They like I said, they're still continuing to line him up a lot with no running back in the backfield on third and short situations, 3rd and 4, what have you. Stop that. Keep a running back there. Fake it. Make it look like you can run the ball, and then sometimes actually run it, because that's what you did last year. That's what works so well. Teams never know what you're going to do. You got to keep them all balanced, and I think we did that a lot last year. And I think this year we've gotten quite predictable. Now, we did do the line him up in the backfield by himself, and then he did the quarterback sneak. So that was amazing. For the 37-yard touchdown run. Now we can do that as well. But I do love when we have running back in there with the fake, because it's just to hold the defense for a second, to make them look, to make them think, I think is key for us. But we're going into the bye week. We'll do a breakdown. I'll do a breakdown of the season so far sometime next week or later on this week. And, hey, Ravens are doing well, people. We're playing Pittsburgh coming up. I'll do a full breakdown of that game. Pittsburgh are undefeated, 5-0. I don't believe Pittsburgh is as good as their record is. I mean, I could be wrong. I believe they had a very soft schedule. That's why I think they could. We actually win the division and lose to us and still win the division, because they have a pretty soft schedule this year. They beat up on Cleveland. I think I told you guys already, Cleveland's not that good. We knew that already. Baker Mayfield is not the answer. You know what I'm saying? So I think if you stop their rushing attack, they have nothing. And I believe I don't want to do the preview right now, but believe me, Pittsburgh will sell out to stop our run again. But we have Lamar Jackson. If we use him correctly, I'll break that down fully. Talk to you guys later on in the week, man. Once again, it's Roscoe Squeeze Off, the podcast. It's your boy Roscoe Squeeze Off, world's foremost authority on all things that matter. And Roscoe Squeeze Off of the Show on the Go podcast. Check that out as well. Talk to you soon. Have a good one.